Hi, my name's Paul Tilstone from Festive Road, the consultancy on a mission to create better travel and meetings management. And today I'm in conversation with Catherine Logan from the Global Business Travel Association. Catherine.
Hi, Paul.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You come over from Northern Ireland, is that right?
Yes, I flew over last night, so great to be back in London.
Easy, frictionless, how was it?
Absolutely brilliant, actually.
Good,
yeah.
good.
No, it was really good. Flew into London City, straight into town, no problems at all.
I think I may have heard your plane arrive this morning from my bedroom because we're quite close. So,
yeah.
So we've asked you to think about travel management 2022 and beyond,
Yep.
the next decade in effect. What topic do you think should be front of mind for the travel manager and for the travel program of the future?
Yeah, well, I think over the last 18 months, travel managers have played an absolutely critical role in bringing people back to their base, and in getting people to really difficult to reach places, and constraints being around like government restrictions and constraints in the supply chain, as well as just this global health pandemic. They've played an absolute critical role in keeping business going. But I think that actually, given the changes that are going to happen and the difficulty that there still is around the return to travel, around sustainability and new ways of working, I think the thing that travel managers should be looking to is making their role more strategic, and particularly around the return on investment of travel.
It's been a great opportunity, hasn't it? Because that sort of crisis moment
Yep.
Has given them the stage within their businesses to be able to make that impact. And now, the opportunity to then say, actually, let's really look at what that ROI looks like. Let's make sure travel is aligned to the company's objectives. It's a real pivotal moment, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And what we did, or we've been doing a number of surveys right throughout the pandemic. So every month we do a COVID poll or coronavirus poll. And it's been about sense checking the appetite for the return to travel. And we've been probing into different issues. And what we're finding in that is that over half of our buyers are actually spending more time with different departments. That over 40% of them are on cross-departmental task forces that relate to the return to travel and new ways of working. As we all know, duty of care has always been a key part of a travel program. But over 70% are saying that actually it's more important than it's ever been before.
Yes.
And then around half of our travel buyers are saying that they are spending more time with C-suite and senior management. I think all of this shows it's the impact that travel has in different parts of the organisation, and the fact that the travel buyers are now at the table and they're contributing to the sort of future planning.
Is there any sense of how a buyer goes about demonstrating that ROI? And I asked that question because I think we toyed with this in the run-up to 2019, 2020. It was always like, if only we could demonstrate, the return of business travel. And I remember there was, I think BTA aligned with Oxford Economics on every $1 invested is $15 returned.
Yes.
The pandemic showed, in some instances, companies were able to achieve their revenues without travel. So that's a really hard thing to come back from in many ways. So how do you, any sense of the kind of language and the rhetoric that buyers need at that C-suite level to demonstrate ROI?
Well, do you know what? I think that very much depends on the organisation.
Right.
You've got to speak the language of the organisation.
Yes.
You've got to understand what's important to your stakeholders and demonstrate what you can do for them, how you can help them achieve what their goals are. And, to your point about organisations achieving revenue while there is a pandemic, that is at a time whenever nobody can travel.
Yes, okay.
And so what we're seeing in our surveys is that this is impacting, I can't remember the stats exactly, but it's impacting the ability to network to a significant around 70%, impacting sales ability, impacting development ability. And if you think about it, those are all absolutely critical things to the future growth of an organisation.
Yes.
And while I think in the past everybody felt had a sense that if you weren't there, if you didn't travel, it was showing a lack of commitment.
Yes.
And I think that what we've seen is that there are plenty of times where a virtual meeting will do the job.
Yeah.
However, I think the more that people come back together, the more they meet, the more they're sitting in a room, whether it's brainstorming or forming a relationship or delivering a service, the richness that you get from that, is totally different. And so what the organization has to do with the help of the travel manager is to try and understand, okay, when is it appropriate to travel? What sort of value are you going to get from that? How can you make sure that you travel in a more sustainable way, a more sensible way? And I think one of the phrases that I've heard that really struck home with me is travel with purpose, not presence. And I think that that's a really important thing. But going back to your original question, how do you quantify the ROI? Depends on the organisation.
Yeah, okay. But a good start point is understand where travel brings value to your organisation as a first step.
Absolutely.
Anything else that you think the travel manager needs to be thinking about as we approach 2022 connected to this? What should their steps be other than understanding the types of travel? Is there anything else they should be doing?
I think that, there's just a fundamental shift in the way that we work. So in our recent poll, what we found was over 90% of travel buyers said that there are employees in their organisation who work remotely.
Okay.
And so that whole thing about working remotely, and especially people who used to be based in an office who now work remotely, what used to be a commute is now a business trip.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you manage that, and how does that fit into your travel program? And I think the other thing that is, it's just absolutely pivotal at the minute is sustainability. Everybody's talking about it, and and it's, I think, as I said at a conference a couple of weeks ago, it's like we spent a century trashing the planet, and we've got about 25 years to try and really,
or maybe less, right?
Or less to make it. And I think with all of these things, the travel manager has a choice. This will either be done to them, or they can actually take control, and they can help to drive the change and contribute to it. Because if you think about the expertise in this industry, there are people who are very, very knowledgeable and considered, who know their stuff. And travel is complicated. There's nothing simple about it. And so I think by being more proactive and sort of like driving the conversation, I think that they will serve their organisations better and the industry better.
It's a lot to think about. It's more complicated than it used to be. But I've always said, where there's complication, the ability to come in and take control over that narrative, this is the moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the thing about it is, it's like, as somebody once said to me, disruption brings opportunity.
Yes.
And I think that this is a moment. And I think that also the fact that everything is, there will be different ways of doing things. And I think it's more important than ever that there's collaboration, that there's knowledge sharing, and that there's, there will be new examples of best practice. And so I think it's very important for travel managers and suppliers to come together and share that, and examples like events like this are really, really important to
And your GBTA Europe conference as well,
of course. And my GBTA Europe conference,
have to get that in.
Absolutely, and convention in Orlando.
Yeah, we'll make sure this goes out before those dates. So
yeah, but that's really important. But then there's also things like the GBTA Hub, where I've already seen a huge amount of collaboration around sustainability, where people are sharing tools and approaches and advising, and and I think that there's lots of really rich seams of information. Yeah. But then there's also, the TMC or consultancies like FESTIVE ROAD who can also really help.
Thank you for the plug at the end.
You're very welcome.
Great to see you in Irish green as well.
Absolutely. GBTA green.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Catherine, thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you, Paul.